Hello and welcome to the Advanced Age Role-Playing Gamers Podcast. I'm Nathan, I'm your host, and I am super privileged today to have with me a return guest, Luke Stratton, aka Limithron, of Pirate Borg. Can I say infamy or fame?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we like to say it's the worst pirate RPG of all time, so I think infamy works great.
Awesome. So I am not just a chatty guy. I actually love this stuff. If you guys watching didn't know, we ran one of the adventures from the Down Among the Dead book for our 5th anniversary. It's a live show, so if you go to our live playlist, you can watch us play Pirate Borg poorly. But I say
that's the only way to play is poorly.
We used a lot of the alternate character options for that.
Oh yeah, like the classes and stuff.
Oh my god, they're insane. Where's the one that absorbs other people?
Was that like one of the features of the Unlocked Soul?
I can't remember, but basically you could like wear other people's like a backpack and stuff. It was just really kind of gross and disgusting. But the classes from that were great. I had so much fun. It's Pirate Borg is a AARPG favorite when we just want to have fun.
Nice. I mean, you know what? I don't know what else you would want to do. Like
if we don't want to we don't want to go deep into like huge long backstories and drama and politics. And
I love the idea that someone like makes a Pirate Borg character and they monologue for 5 minutes on their backstory, and then they get like Deep Blue Seed, you know, like where the shark just pumps out of the water and eats Samuel Jackson in the middle of the monologue, and they have to make a new character. Like that sounds like you're doing the assignment, you know.
Yeah, no, it was great, and we go all the way in on it. So, but cool. So you are a busy bee. You've got a lot of stuff going on with some Kickstarter shenanigans. I'm going to just list them real quick. The Pirate Map Collection box set, the Encounter Atlas. A naval combat guide you're reprinting for that other game, the 5th edition, and a skirmish game. Someone actually wanted to make a skirmish game with you guys. So that's really awesome. Now you're going to have a whole. You're going to have your own island by the end of this. You know, a proper pirate island.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because at GaryCon, we do have our own island now. We host all our games at GaryCon in the water park. They like started renting out the water park, and all of our games are in the like island that the lazy river goes around, and it is perfect. I mean, it's perfect that. Of any group that was there, it's the Pirate Borg players, and they're all on the island. They're all yelling and wearing pirate outfits. It's pretty fun. So,
do they let you bring in grog?
No, and one thing I wanted to do is like GaryCon. Like, I really wanted to do a like mega event, like a mega.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Like what's like a funnel,
right?
Where that I run it. Mm-hmm. And if you get killed, you have to walk the plank into the pool. But they can't do it for liability. But then they ended up having lifeguards there the whole time, just watching an empty pool. So next year, maybe I can push for it. We'll see.
That would be awesome. That would be a reason to go to GaryCon. So.
I mean, dude, it's honestly, we just got an email from them that we just renewed again for next year. Mm. And we were the 4th most run RPG at GaryCon.
Wow.
Behind 5th edition, 1st edition, which has a really big following at GaryCon, and Shadow Dark.
Love Shadow Dark.
Oh, me too, of course. But Shadow Dark, and like no shade, love Shadow Dark, but it's basically like a better version of old school D&D a modern version. So basically, we're the top game at GaryCon that's not D&D. Now, Gary Gygax is, of course, the creator of D&D. His son, Luke Gygax, throws it. It makes sense that D&D is big there, but
right, as it should be.
Of the riffraff that crawled up from the bowels of the ship, Pirate Borg made the top.
So that's crazy because was it like 3 years ago at Gen Con where I interviewed you in that little tiny booth
Well, we still have a tiny booth at Gen Con, and that's
okay.
of no function of us. They won't give anybody bigger booths right now. We know people who can't even get booths. In fact, this year we are very proud to be the official reseller for Tuesday night games. So if you want Mothership products at Gen Con this year, you have to come to our booth because they can't get their own booth, and you're not allowed to share booths. So it's tough. You know.
So are they is anybody from Tuesday Night Games going to be there?
Yeah, they're going to be there. Sean and Alan are going to be. If you need to find them, they'll be at our booth signing products and stuff.
So, coincidence, we didn't talk about this ahead of time. This Monday, Tuesday night, tomorrow night, I'm running their new game, Father Fog.
Father Fog is incredible. I gushed to Alan about it at Origins this year. I picked up a physical copy. I haven't played it yet, but the graphic design is so good.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. I got the physical copy, and it's already feels like it's pretty beat up. I have not played it yet. We're going to do character creation, and we're going to run the Into the Fog intro scenario they just put out like a week or two ago.
And that will be available for print at our booth at Gen Con.
All right.
Yeah.
So
we had a big company meeting about it because we were like, there's only 3 of us, but we were like, there's literally no other company except for maybe like Stockholm Cartel and the Morkborg guys that we would ever carry their products that weren't Pirate Borg products, except for Mothership. Like I've said this many times, but Pirate Borg, really, I thought about changing the name to Pirate Ship, but just because that's a great name for it, but also vibe wise and information design wise, Mothership was just as much as an influence on it as Morkborg was. So
I actually, my son just had his 30th birthday, and I bought him. He's been playing D&D and Pathfinder off and on for a while, so I bought him the Mothership core box.
Yeah, not to make this about Mothership, but we've been talking a bunch in my Discord lately about the Warden's Operation Manual, and I have been, good. Whenever I think about a book, or whenever I think about something that we're talking about in Discord, I always think about it all day. So all day I've just been thinking about how you can make a YouTube video. The thumbnail would be like the best GM book you've never heard of. Of course people have heard of it, but the Warden's Operation, I tell people who are new to Pirate Borg, if you need advice on how to run games, go buy the Mothership box set, or you can just buy that zine on its own.
I tell people, no matter what if they've never run a game of anything before, pick that up.
His advice, dude, Sean's advice on how to prep your notebook and what you need. Some of it is a little bit more Mothership specific in that it's you're making, everybody works for the company. Doesn't even matter what the company's called. And you want to make a job list. Well, if you're playing classic fantasy D&D, it's probably not a job list. It's probably a quest list. Mm-hmm. But that transfers to a cyberpunk RPG or for pirates, you can have jobs. So I definitely love that. It's such good advice. Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah. So we are. I'm glad we had this conversation. This is good. So, but we should probably talk about your stuff.
I guess if we must,
if we must. So the pirate map collection. Let's talk a bit about that. That's was it 5-6 years of maps that you've been working on?
I started drawing pirate ship battle maps in COVID lockdown. So it's been for almost exactly 6 years. I think my first release was in July, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe June actually. But I've been drawing battle maps for a long time, and there's not really a good way to get them in print other than a few that are in, the Pirate Borg starter set, or there's some in a map pack that came with the Down Among the Dead. But it's we wanted a way to do these maps so you can use them at your table. And, we say this all the time, you don't have to have battle maps to play Pirate Borg or any pirate RPG, but even if you're not using the grid, you can still use them as visual aids, So we printed, I think if we get all the stretch goals, it's 110 battle maps, and they're all different sizes. The format for the box is 8.5 by 11, like a normal sheet of paper, but they fold in various sizes of that. The boats are all 8.5 by 11, and then the ships are usually 2 wide pieces of 8.5 by 11. So it's like 8.5 by 22. And then it goes all the way up to like we have all 3 levels of the governor's mansion and 3 levels for the pirate hideout, and those are like as big as my arm. For those listening, my arms are like fully wide, like I think it's like a 2 by 4 sheets of paper.
Wow.
And they all fold up into this box, and there's an index and sticker sheets so you can stick cannons on, or cargo crates, or tentacles. We have all kinds of stickers,
So it's, and they're like reusable sticker, that kind of thing.
So the maps,
like,
even though
Loki maps.
All the stuff we've done in the past for Pirate Borg has been uncoated paper, but we want these to be like maximum usability. So they are like the dry wet erase coating.
Oh, good. Okay.
And that means that the clear vinyl stickers can attach, static cling attach, and then detach. And they go back on the sheet, so they're not like single use. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So you can over and over and over and over and over again to your pirate select. Now, whose job was it to figure out how to fit all those ships in the box?
That would be mine. That would be mine, of course. So originally, my plan was to do. So my good buddy and colleague Tom Kartos makes all kinds of battle maps. He doesn't have a game like I do on the side,
right?
So while I did a lot of maps and then pivoted to more Pirate Borg content. He just has kept going with the maps. So he has I think 10 books now, and he's like the top Roll20 battle map artist. But he has these spiral books. They're all 1 foot or 1 by 2 maybe. I can't remember the dimensions. They're like this big. And they all open up to make like an area for role playing, And I was like, I'm going to do spiral books, but instead of them opening to be square, they'll open up to be these big long rectangles, so you can take ships and And I was going to do 3 books, but ultimately we really quickly came to like, how am I going to fit a mansion? And you have to waste 6 pages, 3 spreads, and all. It's just like it's not. And then what if you only want one of the maps? And like, what if you want to take 2 of the boats that are in the same book and have them be together? You can't do it. So,
right. Yeah. If you want to have like a ship to ship battle or boarding.
Yeah. I mean, you can, it would be designed so that the 3 were spaced between the 3 spiral books. So you'd have a good mix, but I was like, this just doesn't work. So then we started figuring out how to do them individually. And then it's great because then the paper can scale to the size of the ship. So like a small boat is 1 page, whereas the ship of the line is like 8 combined pages, And that works really well. Then you just fold them all up to the same size, and they all have a label in the top corner, both in 2 corners
before you open them up.
Yeah, that says that has their number and the name, and then there's a little symbol for what's on the back of the map. And then we went a step further, and like a lot of the maps share companion maps. Like for example, there are multiple flutes. Or multiple sloops, but the sloops share the interior map, and so all the sloops say like, the linked map to this is map number 46 sloop interior. So it's hopefully GMs will be able to find them really quickly.
Okay, yeah, because as people like to do is, I'm going to go up on top, and I'm going to go on the bottom, and so you can have your party, you can split the party, and have okay.
Well, and I found, I've run enough pirate RPG sessions to know that like sometimes, most of the time, you only need the top deck, the one that shows the sails, the one that's going to be used in naval combat, But if you're raiding another ship, or if you're playing a like kind of longer campaign where you're actually like role playing downtime on board the ship, and you want to have them be like, okay, the captain is in the captain's cabin, but like the sorcerer has a little area set up in the cargo hold. Like we want to be able to like explore all that with a battle map, just because it's fun, right? So
yeah, all
of the ships that have interiors they are included in the box, which is cool.
Oh, that's really neat. And to go along with that, you partnering, I can't remember his name right now, but with Encounter Atlas.
Okay, yeah. So Joseph R. Lewis he's a really great adventure writer. I first became familiar with his work through the Mary Mushman adventure, Nightmare Over Ragged Hollow. Mary Mushman are the Knock publishers, if you're familiar with those. They're like a really, really great kind of old school Renaissance blog post collection articles. But anyway, they started publishing adventures, and their first one was Nightmare Over Ragged Hollow. Joe and I have become friends. I think he's one of the best adventure writers like alive. I often call him the greatest adventure writer of all time. He's just got a really great format. He's really, really sharp and really quick. So we worked with Joe, and we picked 50 of the 100 or so maps, basically because we didn't want a bunch of ships that you don't really, the ship encounters would be all the same, but he wrote an encounter for each of the different maps, or excuse me, an encounter generator. So it'll be like, if you're at a tavern, it's like, well, who's fighting in the corner, and who's the bartender, and 4 encounters that might happen when you're in the tavern. So the idea was we wanted to tie this big box of maps into a usable thing immediately at the Pirate Borg table. So if you pick up this little booklet, you don't even need the maps. You can just buy this little booklet and have, I need an encounter for a rope bridge. Well, here you go. Here's a monkey with a gun on the middle of the rope bridge, right?
Yeah, I think that's what we've had a lot of fun when we played Pirate Borg, and just is really the first time we played too. We didn't even have an adventure. Our Tier was GMing, and he just went all random tables.
Yeah,
and it was amazing. So I like the idea of having kind of a clever generator that maybe is something you wouldn't think of yourself that you could kind of take and run with. So.
Yeah, one of the things we always say is like people can always make it up, right? Some GMs need you to tell them that, but you don't need me to tell you that. You can always make it up. People have been doing that since the dawn of RPGs.
Yeah.
What our job to do is to give you stuff so you don't have to make it up when you don't want to, you know? So like we try to provide NPCs and ship names and like interesting things that you can throw at your players, knowing that you can always tweak them to fit your setting in the situation, right?
Yeah. I think that's great. Just as someone who's likes to play the games and kind of collect everything, and just sometimes I have stuff that I don't even never get to play, but I like sitting there and just coming up with ideas. So,
I say this all the time. Yeah. I think that reading and prepping RPGs is playing RPGs.
Okay.
Like, that's my opinion. I'll die on that hill.
All right. I will do that, and I will die before you.
Well, I don't hope that for you, but I also don't hope that I die before you. So I don't know.
Yeah. Matt tried.
We'll die at the same time on a beautiful sinking ship that we hold up randomly. Yeah.
Or in the middle of the theme park.
Yeah, there we go.
With no lifeguards. Out of the maps he made over the past 6 years, are there any of yours that are really your favorites that you just gotta go to and say, wow, I did such a good job with this?
That's a really, really good question. Well, one thing I have to say is like one of the really cool things about this particular project is that like when you look at a book, like even like a novel, like there's a lot of time in a novel, but like you can't see the time put into it, Like you don't know how many revisions there were, but like a battle map, it's like I don't make a ton of mistakes, past the like first sketching process. So it's basically like I put the hours in and I finish. So looking at this project, you can see where I spent my time the past 6 years. Like you can literally look and see every little thing. I mean, there are sometimes I will, I'll copy and paste like tree assets, but most of the stuff is hand drawn. Like, so sometimes I'll look at a map and I'll just be like, wow, I can't believe how long I spent. Like I think a great example is the Nautiloid map. I wanted to do the Nautiloid like kind of airship, but we didn't really think that fit in this product. It felt like a little like out of place to have an airship in the middle of all these ships. So I did I do variations of all these maps on the Patreon. So I took it's an ocean, like weird deep water vessel that has giant jellyfish as sails.
Oh.
And that you can see, like I hand drew all the tendrils on the jellyfish. I hand drew the tentacles. Like that one's one of my favorites. Another one is this pirate map hideout that I was mentioning earlier. It's a 3 or 4 level hideout that I was just like, you need the quintessential like pirate hideout, kind of like a, Goonies meets Hook, Lost Boys kind of thing. And I remember at the time, this was way before Pirate Borg when I started drawing that map. I would just like draw a different level every week, and I drew it all week. So I'd be just thinking like, there's a cave and there's like a conveyor belt system that goes through all 4 levels, and like there's a galleon that's been snapped in half. The one half is the captain's quarters, the other is a tavern. Like it's just a very like immersive, fun map. And now you can get a copy of it and use it at your table.
Yeah, I think you could probably come up with your own stories about how that hideout came to be.
I mean, I hope people do.
Yeah. What's it like with this popularity of this game just kind of exploding over the past few years? It's got to feel a little. I have to imagine it'd be, if it were me, I would feel really weird about it. Well,
you mean like negatively weird? I don't feel weird about it.
Not just like maybe it's surreal.
It's definitely, my whole life is surreal. Look, I've said this a couple of times, so if you've heard me on other shows or my own, forgive me. But like, look, I was in concert lighting before. Yeah. I worked for the Smashing Pumpkins for like 6 years. Yeah. That job was surreal and my dream job.
Yeah.
And I left that job. I literally stopped doing that job. I told, Billy Corgan and the band I was going to no longer be a lighting designer to do this, because we were like basically losing money by me being preoccupied with another job. Is like, that's beyond, I don't even know who to like, I just can't even believe that is my life, And now it's to the point where I did lights for Tom Morello a few times and he didn't care who I was. But now I have GM'd Pirate Borg for Tom Morello a couple of times from Rage Against the Machine. Yeah. And he knows who I am. It's like crazy. Like, I don't know. It's like I'm probably dreaming, and it's probably a simulation. I would hope if it was a simulation that the state of the world would be better, but things, things in Pirate Borg world. I mean, then again, like we make an escapist game. So it's like, if we're providing, I'm not saying that it's good that the things are bad in the world, but I am saying that like sometimes as a designer, or even in concerts, it's like, what am I doing with my life? Like, am I impacting the world in a positive way? But then when I think about like how many people have gotten into playing RPGs because they bought Pirate Borg, or like how many people have gone to a con and said, I see in the Discord all the time, I see GMs that are like, this is the most fun I've ever had playing a game, which was my experience when I played Morkborg. Like,
right.
I just think that's like a never ending like reward that just keeps on giving,
Yeah, that's a real gift. I mean, it's phenomenal when something just clicks with other people, like strangers that you never met or never will meet. It's just and they're like, they pick it up and like, this is for me. So
yeah, I mean, I often, or not often, but I have thought in the past what my reaction would have been to finding Pirate Borg in the store, like in an alternate timeline, like the COVID never happened. Luke, lighting designer, stumbles into the game store where somehow an interdimensional copy of Pirate Borg got there. And I would hope that he would be overjoyed with like, wow, this does everything I want. It's grimdark, but also Monkey Island, but also Sid Meier's Pirates, but with ship combat from Pirates of the Spanish. It's just got everything I've ever loved from Pirates smashed. And I mean, to answer your question, I think people can tell. Like, I think that there are a lot of games out there, 5th edition being a great example, that are designed without like pure, like unbridled joy and desire as the main thing. Like, I didn't make Pirate Borg to like make a company and like hire people. Like, I like made it because I wanted it to exist, like worked really hard to like get all these things I wanted to exist out into the world, and now they're out in the world. And I think maybe some part of society is like happy to reward us with that by letting us keep doing it,
Well, I think it's fabulous. So keep doing whatever you're doing. You're doing it right. So all the luck going forward.
Thank you.
But there's more stuff that we haven't talked about yet. Let's talk about this the minis and the skirmish game.
Sure.
So minis is kind of an obvious thing. Everybody likes minis when they're playing in person. But to me, like a skirmish game, like whose idea was that? Did you approach them or did they approach you?
Well, it's actually kind of a cool story. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here, and that so Westphalia approached us, the guys who make the miniatures. They had done one or two Borg miniature Kickstarters at the time, and I think it was a logical next step for them to be like, hey, let's see if the Pirate Borg guys want to do it, And I think at the time we were like, oh, this sounds cool, but like not right now. I think at the time I was like, maybe we want to do our own, or like, I don't know. So we kind of like talked about it a little bit, but it never moved forward on it.
Right.
And then last year I was at UK Games Expo, and I ran into Will RD, who makes Forbidden Psalm, which is the Borg skirmish game. Yeah. And he had done like a pirate, like an online only, like pirate zine hack of Forbidden Psalm, but it wasn't Pirate Borg compatible. And I was kind of like, dude, I mean, like I'm a pretty I think I'm a nice guy, but apparently I've been told through all of my careers that I'm intimidating and very direct, which this is true. I am very direct. I hope I'm not intimidating, but apparently I am, because I'm direct, And I was like, Will, like, why didn't you make that for Pirate Borg? That was like why would you make a Borg compatible pirate-ish game and not just make it Pirate Borg compatible at least as well,
Right.
And he was really cool about it. He was like, well, dude, I didn't know. He's Welsh, so he's like, I didn't know you, or I can't do Welsh, I think, but he's like, I didn't know you, and I don't want to do it without, he's like, would you want to do that? And I was like, dude, totally. Let's do it. And so then like a few months later, when we knew we were going to do this map box, I was like, or, me and the guys on the team were like, wait, what if we get like all these guys to do all their things at the same time? Because we're not going to do miniatures, and we don't have the bandwidth to do our own right now. I'm not a digital sculptor. We're certainly not going to hire anybody right now. And we want to do our own, skirmish war game at some point, but it's years and years away, So like, let's tap these guys in and do them all at the same time. So we came up with this thing we're calling Boarding Party, where we all kickstarted at the same time last week. And all Kickstarters are doing well. And if you back all three of them, you get a coin that's a Boarding Party D2 coin. So yeah, it's been pretty exciting.
I have to say, the coins are pretty cool. These are the ones I got from backing.
That's the Down Among the Dead coin. Yeah. The thing about this one is it's the first product we've ever done that's actually an exclusive. Not only is it a Kickstarter exclusive, but you can't add it on. Like before, we would do like, oh, if you back in the first 48 hours, you get the coin for free, but you can buy it later. This, like, you only get it by backing all three Kickstarters, because we really, really believe like a high tide raises all ships. It's like the more people who are playing pirate stuff, the better for everybody. So
that's one of the things I really like about different parts of the TTRPG. I hate the word, but I'm going to use it, industry.
No, on my end, it's definitely an industry.
Yeah. Role playing is is the only reason I have any friends. To be like literally super honest, that's it. So it's to see that kind of extend into the kind of the business side of it. That feels pretty good to me. And I said this. I think I said this to the Johan and Pelle about the Borg, that whole genre. What that's spun off is a huge thing on its own. So yeah, I really like that you're kind of you're letting other people kind of in your playground.
Yeah. I mean, to speak to the industry a little bit, like as a point of example, concerts and touring. Like, I mean, I think I was out full time on tour for 12 years roughly. And like I have very few friends from that era. I mean, there are the guys who I still talk to on a regular basis were the bandmates in the band I did most of that time with, Dopapod. Like the crew guys, like other lighting designers, I get a text now and then, but most of the time it's a question or something, like I didn't maintain, it's just like a different, but in the RPG industry, it's like everybody everybody's friends. Like everybody is like almost always willing to help each other out, to give advice. I remember when my first sent Pirate Borg to print, like I got my notes back from my printer that had all these things I didn't understand. Like you have to add trapping and you have to have less than 300% ink coverage and all these things. I was like, how do I fix these things? And I had sent Johan a message and he like walked me through what to do. And I was like, what, dude, that's going to be so much work. He's like, dude, just get a bottle of wine, sit there and crank through the whole book. And I did, and it wasn't as bad, but like, man, I think even if I quit making RPGs tomorrow, I have lifelong friends that are in the industry that, you know, I will keep in touch with for sure. Because, you know, especially like, we're working, but when we're not, when we're not at the booth at a convention, we're rolling dice, man. We're rolling pickup RPG games with like our friends that make other games. It's perfect. So
that's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. Can you talk about what the skirmish game looks like and a little bit about?
So a skirmish game, for those not familiar, compared to like a normal war game, like this would be like not 40K, but it would be Kill Team. You know, you're playing in Forbidden Psalm. Forbidden Psalm, I think, is 4 models, and rather than rolling your stat line like you do in Borg, you pick from like, you know, a kind of a even average stat line, or like, oh, this guy's got one great stat and a dumb stat, you know?
Okay, yeah.
But in From the Depths Below, which is the Pirate Borg skirmish version of Forbidden Psalm, it's 5 models. The 5th model is your captain. And often your captain will determine what kind of crew you can take. So like in our playtest, you can actually watch the video of Tyler and I playtesting it online, or doing an actual play, if you will. I was the necromancer, undead necromancer pirate captain, and instead of getting normal crew, all my crew are skeletons, and the skeletons have a set stat line, you know. So basically you're getting 5 models, and it's 1 inch is 5 feet. You can play on a grid like you can with our battle maps, or you can play with your terrain and just use a tape measure. And it's basically like more or less simplified Pirate Borg mechanics. You're rolling a D20. You need to beat better than a 12. Armor is like, just a damage soak of 0, 1, 2, or 3 points. There's no devil's luck like in Pirate Borg, but there is a mechanic that's called Pieces of 8. There are 8 things that you can do, and each one you can only do once per
encounter.
In scenario, I guess. Like re-roll any dice or deal max damage, or that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically like imagine taking Pirate Borg's already a pretty simple game as far as RPGs go. Imagine taking an even simpler version of all your PCs and having them all fight it out. And then of course another cool thing about it is typically PvP, but actually I would call it PvPvE, because like the scenario we played was I was going to make it to my boats on one side, Tyler was trying to get to his boats on the other side, and there were a bunch of disease-infected redcoats trying to shoot both of us,
Okay.
And there's like, the coral shoggoth can't appear and attack, that kind of stuff.
So I like it sounds very chaotic. I like it.
Yeah, it's much more narrative than, it's, Will's tried to make it balanced, but it's not like 40K. There's not like a whole, corporate team playtesting every stat block, because like 40K, a coral shoggoth doesn't show up in the middle of the battlefield and eat your guys, like it's a little bit more like Mornheim, where you're like, oh, what's going to happen? Like, oh, who survived,
What's next? I'm going to take a step back and go back to the box set and Encounter Atlas. So the Kickstarter is going to be done in about 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks looks like. When are you planning on, when do you think you'll ship this?
It's kind of hard to say exactly, because it's really not up to us. We're done. I have that was one of my new rules, is like, I don't kickstart things anymore until I'm done. After Down Among the Dead, I'm like, no more. I'm done. So all the maps are done. They're all laid out in the format. The box is done. We have a little bit of editing to do on Joe's book, because we, since it's actually written, we're going to send it to a proofreader.
Right.
But like we're ready to go to print as soon as we know how many to order.
Okay.
So then it's just kind of a waiting game. And, the 3 Kickstarters are shipping separately, unfortunately, because of different companies. And that's just weird. There's no way to make that work without,
that's why I asked about that.
I mean, like, I think maybe down the road, if we were a larger company where we could like, hey, we'll handle everything. But between both of them being out of the country and it's just too much. But on the flip side, even if you want that coin, you just only need to back ours physically. You can get the PDF from Will and the STLs from Westphalia.
Okay.
So if you really are worried about shipping, you could just do it yourself if you can print your own miniatures. But so I think we're hoping to ship by the end of the year, but probably with like a more realistic timeline of shipping in the spring.
Okay.
It kind of depends. We do want to proof the box, but then again, I already saw the sample box they sent me. I got yesterday or whatever. It's like, it looks great. So we're probably going to go to print like as soon as we have the funds from Kickstarter. So.
All right. And hopefully that doesn't take too long. Now, what kind of stretch goals do you have going on for those?
Oh, we have a bunch. We have a bunch that add more maps to the box. We have some that add more stickers because the core offering has 3 sticker sheets, I think, and I think we're going to get up to 5 or 6 of cannons, tentacles, crates, treasure, that kind of stuff. I think we've already added the foil stamping and embossing onto the box. Nice. There was a talk of doing a leatherette version or like a leatherette stretch goal, like that fake leather.
Right.
But I really don't want to compromise the functionality of the box for like it being leather,
Right.
And that's going to raise the cost, and it raises the cost a lot. And we want it to be able to go to retail. That's the thing. When you're making these kind of products, like everyone's always worried about, they're always like, oh, how much is this? Blah, 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 blah. But you have to get it cheap enough in manufacturing that when you sell it for half price to retailers or for 40% of the price to distribution, that you're still making enough money to cover the costs. So, So when you gotta be careful about stuff like that.
So no wooden chest in the near future.
No, I mean, I think, maybe we'll talk about Dark Caribbean here in a bit, but my next project, my magnum opus, I hope, is the Dark Caribbean, and I'm sure we'll do something big for that. That's like a box, a treasure chest that holds everything or something. Who knows?
Oh, well, that's so. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I want to cover off the reprint of the Naval Combat Guide for 5e.
Yeah.
So what's in that?
So before I wrote Pirate Borg, the first like really well received thing I wrote was Lemethron's Guide to Naval Combat. I basically was running a 5th edition pirate campaign and really struggling that there wasn't a naval combat system like in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and So I used my like lifelong experience of playing pirate video games like Sid Meier's Pirates and Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Sea of Thieves, combined with my love of naval kind of pirate skirmish, ship games like Pirates of the Spanish Main, or it's called Pirate Pocket Model, whatever. Excuse me. And the other big one was Oak and Iron, which actually shipped at the beginning of COVID. So the beginning of COVID, I played a lot of Oak and Iron, like on their like tabletop simulator.
Oh, okay.
And so I just kind of took everything I had learned from like all those different things about what works and what doesn't, and what's fast and what does a player expect versus like what's realistic. And I smashed that all into a system that basically uses the monster manual as ships. But all their hit points and damage dice are multiplied by 5 if they're attacking players. So like if you're sailing a ship and it has D8 cannons, it does D8 damage against another ship, but it would do 5d8 or D8 times 5 if it hit a player, because if you look at the stats in 5th edition for a cannon, it's like, I'm not going to roll like 8d8. Like I don't even have 8d8, like unless I borrow my other, I'll bring 8d8s to behind my GM screen, Yeah. It's just it's like rolling dice is fun, but counting them's not, So I wanted to find a way to like, how can we do this where it can scale from one ship versus another ship to like we have a small fleet. So like, oh, it's the end of the campaign and there's 20 ships on both sides. So it was really well received, and it's role playing forward. Like each player gets something they can do every turn. And so we're reprinting it because we don't want to just make this map box just for Pirate Borg people. We want it for 5th edition people too.
And that's what you mentioned a second ago about having each player them having something to do. That's really the hardest part of any kind of vehicle combat. It doesn't have to be ships. It could be, speeder bikes or spaceships or whatever. It's always most of the games that I've played, except for maybe the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game, once vehicle combat started, then like half the players just checked out.
Yeah, I mean, they can't help it. It's like designed that way. And I think as a designer, like it's really easy to just, if you're a professional designer, you're just sitting around all day thinking about how can I simulate this, and if you're in the D&D like D20 game sphere, like it's pretty simulationist compared to say like a story game,
Yeah.
Well, like I have done enough of that to know that nobody wants to do that. Like, or one guy wants to do that. The guy in charge wants to do that. Or the two guys who play 40K or really into pirate history, they want to like tack into the wind and worry about how much cannon shot the ship has. But like the other two dudes are people, like the other two people are like, can we like get back to romancing the governor's daughter and like stealing treasure, So
it's a lot of this is, oh yeah, it's my turn. Okay, I attack.
Yeah. So both games have, I mean, Pirate Borg even more so, where PC ships actually get more action economy than NPC ships, just so that all the players, if you're on the ship, if you're a PC on a ship, you always get to take a crew action. So,
okay.
I mean, it is limited by, you can't all shoot the broadsides,
right?
But there are more possible options than there are players. That doesn't mean you don't always need an extra turn, come about, but they're there. And then, every pirate campaign I've ever played, by the end of the campaign, they always have more than one ship, if not one per player. That's where the system really shines, where you can, kind of let it rip,
Yeah, especially with if you can handle multiple ships with this kind of style of combat, then that's even better. So.
I mean, it's basically its own skirmish game. That's basically what's going on.
That's what it sounds like. So
yeah,
pretty cool. So I'm sure a lot of people who have not heard of that or seen that before will be interested in that. So let's talk about what's next. And I remember like 3 years ago, you're talking about Dark Caribbean.
I've been talking about it longer than that, probably.
I know. Well, so that's long. When I first met you, Dark Caribbean was like already in your head. So what? Where did Dark Caribbean come from? And did it start before Pirate Borg?
Yeah. So I don't really remember when I first started calling it the Dark Caribbean. But, I was running my own, I was calling the campaign Tales from the Caribbean, and that was a little bit less grimdark, a little bit more, we were running 5th edition, so like all the players had spells. Even the bard, he was retweaking them to be like kind of just cool things that he would say, but they were still just, Vancian style magic.
Yeah.
And there was like, I had kind of South China Seas kind of Asian faction, and I had New Vikings or New Valhalla up where New York is, and there was a Viking faction. It was a little bit more like kind of a step towards Forgotten Realms 5th edition, right? So I think when I started making Pirate Borg, I had already been starting my own setting book, and I was drawing all the different islands, and I had drawn a map for the whole thing, and I was thinking like basically the biggest inspiration I had was Neverland by Andrew Kolb, which is like a really great fifth edition. He calls it 5th edition, but it's really more of like a OSR meets 5th edition setting book for it's like it's Neverland, but Peter has become a lich and Wendy is a witch, and like the native people have been replaced with like kind of an Ent species, and all the Hook's pirates are skeletons. And I'm like, dude, I just love that like all these characters that from Neverland are like rewritten for a proper like fantasy role-playing game.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, if I found a book like this that was the Pirates of the Caribbean, like the actual pirates, like from Blackbeard is a necromancer to Ponce de Leon is still alive because he drank from the fountain of youth. So I started working on it, and then somewhere in that process, I discovered we played Borg. Then I started making Pirate Borg, and then there was a period where it was going to be like Pirate Borg was just a rules supplement, and 5th edition was going to come out, or Dark Caribbean was going to come out after that.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was like, you know what? Like, this isn't Pirate Borg wasn't like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I had flutes in there, which is like a Dutch ship. Like, it's on Earth. It's like not a Galgenbeck. I wasn't making like weird alternate reality. I wasn't making ships for Borg. I was making them for the Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
So eventually I like decided to like give up it being a pirate supplement for Borg and making it its own thing. And then I started bringing setting in from the Dark Caribbean. And I added like 10 pages of setting and this page about the history, kind of like a condensed history of what happens there. And at some point along the way, I was like, well, why would all these pirates be in this terrible place? Why don't they just leave? Like, and that's when I came up with Ash, because I was like, I'm really into Dune and a spice. And I'm like, the reason they risk their lives to stay in this terrible place is because Ash is like the most valuable commodity on the planet, So fast forward to now, after years of like, let's do a zine Kickstarter that turns into like a $600,000 like crazy like, we have to make this starter set. Like I have done all these side quests, if you will, and now I am saying no to everything, and I'm finishing this book. And it honestly, it's been such a joy to get back to it because I'm so excited for what it is. I've got all 54 pirate NPCs are already illustrated. There's factions from the Lovecraftian cultists, the Wretched. There's the French, but then there's also this sub-faction of the French called the Endgame Society, who are like the revolutionaries that are trying to bring the downfall of the French crown. Okay. I like to say in Dark Caribbean, we've taken all these things from history and like smushing them or pulling them back or pushing them forward. So like we have like the French Revolution happened sooner, but conquistadors are still around, the Inquisition is still around, that kind of stuff. So it's like all those tropes from history smashed into one big giant RPG setting,
Yeah. So how do you decide like stuff from history? How do you decide what to kind of leave in and what to take out that doesn't really fit?
Well, I basically just put in everything I think seems cool for an RPG. Like if I'm like, I want to see that, if that's not like here's a great example. Henry Morgan, this guy was amazing. He was a privateer, which basically just means he was a pirate but didn't attack British ships. He had a letter of marque from the crown, and he went out and he would like get all the dudes from Port Royal, and they would all go raid like Maracaibo or sack Panama, And they were out on one of these raids, and they got stuck in the Bay of Maracaibo by a Spanish, like a fleet of 3 Spanish warships showed up and blocked them into the bay. And they like faked depositing their troops, their pirates, onto land. So they would like stand up on the ship and sail to land and then like pretend to get off and then sneak back on the ship and duck and they did this over and over so that the Spanish thought they were going to like attack the fort by land instead of, And then they sent a fire ship out, which was an empty ship that when it got close to the Spanish ships, it exploded and it sunk one of the Spanish ships. Wow. And then the pirates they lowered all their sails and sailed out of the harbor, So I'm not done yet. This guy, Henry Morgan, the real guy, right? Then he went at one point after one of these raids, he gets back to Port Royal and there's been a truce with Spain. And he gets tried as a war criminal, and he gets sent back to London, and they're like, they want to hang him because he's basically this like terrible pirate who's like caused all these problems in the Caribbean. By the time he leaves Spain or England, they have knighted him. So he talked his way out of being hung. Instead, they knighted him and sent him back to be like one of the like governors of Port Royal. And he died. And I'm not even done yet. I'm almost there. He died. They buried him in a graveyard. And then in 1692, there's an earthquake that destroys half of Port Royal and it washes his grave into the ocean. right? And I'm like, dude, this guy really lived. This thing really happened, right? So in Dark Caribbean, well, yeah, you can guess what? You can play through the earthquake, but also his ghost, once it hits that seawater, becomes one of the leading like ghost pirates from the Scourge, which is the undead pirate faction.
Okay.
So then you've got this great, rich, historically accurate backstory combined with this like fantastical thing. So I mean, it's like you can't make this stuff up, you know. So I think to answer your question, I try to bring in everything that's inspiring, but then change things that just make sense for the game. Like, for example, in my version of the Caribbean, like I don't want a game of I've thought and talked about this a lot. Like, I know that, like, you know, there's an Assassin's Creed Black Flag DLC where you're fighting as like a freed African American, African, you know, slave. Yep. Like that's a great arc, and I'm all for that arc. But I just didn't feel comfortable gamifying like one of the worst parts of our history. So in the Dark Caribbean, slavery has been abolished prior to the start of the setting. Things like that, you know, like. I've tried to like just follow my own moral compass and correct it when it gets shown that it's wrong, but then like put in the things from history that are exciting, leave out the things that I don't want. And then of course there's a bunch of like Lovecraftian monsters, and Atlantis is real, and the Devil's Triangle is real, and El Dorado is real, and like all that kind of stuff. So
Atlantis, El Dorado, is that all going to be part of the?
Yep. That's why this thing's taking so long. We got Atlantis, we got the Fountain of Youth, we got El Dorado, we got Devil's Triangle, and then we've got the Dark Yucatan, which kind of spoilers. So in Pirate Borg, the core book, all you know is that when the Europeans showed up, that there are no indigenous people, just a bunch of like empty temples. But that's just the islands. As soon as you get out into the periphery, there are plenty of like native North Americans. And if you go to the Yucatan, you basically have two things going on. You have kind of in the like the southern part of the Yucatan, you've got like what we call right now the working name is Skeleton City, but this is where like this ancient lich discovered like a lot of evil magic that kind of corrupted and caused a lot of the things in the Dark Caribbean. But then you've got this city state around Chichen Itza that's where the faction known as the Mazoans live. And if you think about the Mazoans as like kind of like a Wakanda, but with magic instead of tech, meets melting pot. So you've got like people of Mayan ancestry, you've got people of Aztec ancestry, you've got some of the like native from the islands, like some of the Taino people, and all these different tribes kind of got this sequestered away to this like walled city in the Yucatan. So like that brings in this whole other element where like you do have this kind of very like kind of proto sci-fi-ish concept.
Okay.
I mean, not sci-fi and tech, but just like the concept of like this, they're more advanced because of their access to magic.
Yeah.
But then they become a force when the undead really kicks up. Like a force they've been fighting for hundreds of years has now been reawakened by these Europeans. So that's the gist of the setting.
Okay. That sounds really cool. And thanks for going into that description. That really paints a good picture for me, and I'm sure the people listening. For me, I'm sure a lot of creative types feel this way, like especially when living with something this long. Do you ever is there ever like a fear of actually finishing it?
All the time, man. I mean, scope creep is real. It's also like I've gotten so much better at a lot of the things. Like I think if I had just never made Pirate Borg and just made the Dark Caribbean, it would have been for 5th edition, and like it would have been cool, but I didn't, now I have years of designing adventures and like releasing locations and seeing how people interact with them, and drawing, and and mapping. I've gotten better at all those things. So like I think it might have been a lot more, the art would have been way simpler, and it would have been more like public domain stuff in there. And now it's like, well, I know how to draw everything. I don't use any public domain art anymore. I draw everything myself. That takes longer,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, do you I've got 4 pages set aside for Atlantis in the draft right now. There's no way I'm going to be able to do Atlantis in 4 pages. Like Atlantis could be its own book,
Right.
So it's kind of like you got to figure out, I think I listen to a lot of like kind of productivity, like business self-help books. Self-help's not the right, you know what I'm saying though? Like stuff like right now I'm reading this book, Essentialism, and it's talking about like what you really want is minimum viable product. Like you want the thing that people need, not this big bloated thing. Like, what's the point of 100 islands if you're going to go to 10 of them in your campaign, you know?
Right.
So I'm constantly walking that line. I'm certain I'll finish. I'm certain it'll be the next big thing I do, but it's still a long way away because I've got such big ambitions, you know? I want so many things to go in it. And I don't want it to be this ongoing thing. I don't want to be working on like Dark Caribbean supplements. I'm not saying we're done after this, but I don't want it to be like, oh, every quarter we're going to release a new splat book for it. I want it to be a self-contained, thing. So,
yeah, because I figure too with what you're talking about, like this format of book, there's only like so many pages you can fit in there before it becomes kind of.
Well, I mean, this is the thing is that I think we're already in slipcase territory.
Okay,
I think,
all right. Okay, that was my next question. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted it to be one book, but when I first started it, and for a long time post Pirate Borg, it was a 8x10 book, which is the same format as Neverland, which is bigger. You can do 3 columns pretty easily, and it's small font, but you can do 3 columns, and it opens to a bigger book. But like, I don't know. I think I kind of maybe wish I hadn't listened, but it's too late now. Like I got convinced that it should be the same size as Pirate Borg, especially once we nixed it being for 5th edition as well, because now it's only going to be for 5, And like I look at Dolmenwood and I'm like jealous that they have this big format, but then it's also more stuff to fill. So I really like A5. I think it's a great format. So I think if I had to guess today, it's going to be like a campaign book, a locations book, a campaign book, a locations book, a bestiary. And then maybe we'll do a map book, or we'll probably do a map box similar to what we've done for this Kickstarter that prints a bunch of these maps without the keys on them, Right. Because it's like I think it could be 2 books, but it's like if you're gonna do the slipcase, you might as well do 3.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm not making any promises.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I will hold you to it.
Yeah. I mean, like a couple weeks ago, right before this Kickstarter, I switched from the spreads were like 6 NPCs on a spread, and I just wasn't enough room to get all the information I need. And I went through the whole book and raised the font size. I got a lot of people who think the fonts in Pirate Borg are too small. And while I don't always agree, I want it to be as accessible as I can. So I up font sizes. So then I'm like, now every NPC is a full page in an A5 book. So that means that's 54 pages just for NPCs. Like that's almost a book right there. That's the size of the player's guidebook. So yeah, I digress. But yeah,
I really, that's one of the reasons why we never started this out thinking we were going to do interviews. But it's been like the icing on the cake. Because I don't have any desire to do what you do. But it's so interesting to me, and like what the thought and the planning, the process, and the stuff that you'll find out, like as you did when you had to call up Johan and get some advice there. So
I've learned so much.
It's wild to me. So like getting to talk to you and Johan and Thomas from Free League. It's been so cool for me just to kind of pick your brains and and see how the sausage is made. So.
I mean, dude, I feel the same way on my end because I know those guys. Thomas is my publisher. Johan's my buddy. We're talking all the time. Like, and it's like I have these decisions to make too. Like, I think Johan and Thomas are a great example. Like, which one of those guys do I want to be like? Because like Johan, he makes cool stuff, and then he makes other cool stuff, and he got to do all the work on Alien, the new Alien RPG, which I just played this weekend. It was incredible. Like, but he doesn't. They've never made anything. Johan and Pella have never made another hardcover book for Borg. They just decided not to do that. Whereas like Thomas is like, we're a full publishing company. Those are 2 guys on the planet. They both have different life paths, right?
Yep.
Thomas is like, we have a full company. I'm the head of this full company, and we have some of the best. We have Lord of the Rings and Aliens. That's my publisher has the two best IPs. Like all they need is Star Wars, and like I literally would never leave their umbrella. I
just got this today.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then on top of that, they have their own incredible games like
Symbaroum and
Symbaroum and the one I really love is Forbidden Lands.
Yeah.
Vaesen and like, oh dude, yeah. So internally we have these conversations all the time. It's like, well, what do I just want to be the pirate guy, or like am I always going to be the only creator in this company? I mean, like Zach and Tyler are both creative people, but like I'm the guy that does the writing and the art, you know. Like we talk about that. Do we want to be like Free League in 5 years, or do we want to be like Chris McDowell, who he just makes games by himself and they win Ennies? They're amazing, you know. Yeah. It's like you know, or is it maybe? I think the closest colleague is probably Gavin from Old School Essentials. You know, small team, but working with more than just one guy. You know, so I don't know. I digress again.
No. This is again. This is why I'm here.
Yeah, sure.
I love all this stuff. I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your life to sit and blather on with me. Or
Nathan, I get these. We have I have a bunch of these lined up, right? You know, I love to do interviews. I love to talk about stuff. But every time I see the AARPG, I'm always like, for some reason, I just always get going on your guys' show, you know? So I was excited to talk to you.
Yeah. I was like, when I saw the email from Zach, I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's just fun to, chat about games, man. It is. It's the best.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again so much. Those of you watching or listening, I have all the links for the different Kickstarters in the description, links to Luke's Patreon, to the Discord. If you've not joined the Discord yet, I highly recommend it. Very, very active. Lots of great folks on there.
And to the Mothership Warden's Operation Manual buy link.
Oh yeah, I'll link that also.
I need my own referral link for Mothership products. You know, it's funny. I'm like, I am the pirate guy, but like, look at me. I'm wearing an Alien hat. Yeah. This weekend I ran Alien, and I was like, we should be playing Mothership. We're selling Mothership at the booth. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah, I'm buddies with a sound designer now who does some work at Skywalker. He's a huge Alien guy also. That's how we became friends, because we did an Alien actual play a few years ago.
Yeah.
But he made some really cool Avaposter and other Alien sound effects that we got to use in our last games.
Wait, so can that guy give me a tour? Is that like a thing?
I got a tour last year, so yeah, I got to go to the ranch.
Dude,
for 3 hours
before I got into lighting and like working at Skywalker Sound was like my dream job. Like
mine too. Yeah. Yeah, I went to Full Sail. If I told you I went to Full Sail.
Oh no, I think you might have told me about it. I forgot. Yeah.
It was a long time ago. Yeah.
And actually, when I think maybe 6 or 7 years into touring, like. I made an April Fool's announcement that I was quitting lighting to go work at ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. And the best part was like almost everybody thought it was real. Like everybody believed that I could go work at ILM. I thought that was so flattering, but I was like, guys, I work for a club level jam band, like doing concert lighting, like George Lucas's like enterprise does not need me, you know. But
it was really, really cool, and it's probably like the quietest place I've ever been. Just the grounds.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And I got to have lunch with him and the guy who did the sound design for the bunch of the Dead Space video games, and he's also the lead sound designer for the I can't remember the Smuggler's Run ride at Disney.
Oh, yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So yeah, he was really cool too, and they gave me the tour, and it was awesome.
Nathan, next time you're out there, you just call your old buddy Luke up.
Well, if you're ever in San Francisco, maybe I'll hook you up.
All right. I'm going to hold you to it.
Okay,
you're going to regret that you said that.
Oh, and he actually wrote a Mothership module, a trifold.
Perfect.
So he's like He's on our wavelength. So you
I mean,
love him.
Skywalker, it's owned by Disney now, right? It came in the purchase. So, I mean, that's Pirates of the Caribbean territory. Just, come on.
There you go. Yeah,
we'll be friends, right?
All right.
Sweet.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening to us. I had a great time, Luke. And I will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.